Hello, everyone. I'm Kurt Roney, your instructor for this course. This course is an online course primarily for adults and traditional students who need to complete their programs, but for some reason can't take the course in a classroom. So welcome to this course, Business 370. On international business. The purpose of this video is to introduce you to the course and very briefly summarize the contents of the course and, among other things, how your grade will be calculated, which I imagine is at least one part of this little briefing that will interest you. So without any further delay, let me just try to bring up some PowerPoint slides here so that we can get started with this review. And that's always the challenging part in Moodle, because sometimes when we try to bring these slides up, they don't cooperate. But here it looks like we have what we're looking for. So here then, is a summary or begins a summary of the chapters in your textbook. It's a large textbook. It has 17 chapters in it, but the chapters are not long. And the neat thing about this textbook, it has some wonderful exhibits in it. If you haven't got the textbook by now, you really should, because we're going to start right away. And although these are short chapters, we have to take 2 or sometimes 3 in a week to get them all in during the short time of this course. So if you don't have the textbook yet, go get it. I believe you can get it at the UMO bookstore. Usually you try to buy it from the publisher or another source, so that it is less expensive. Whatever your method is, try to get hold of this book just as quickly as you can, because you're going to need it quickly. Okay, so the first section, or the first group of chapters, is about the nature of international business. You would expect the first chapter to be an introduction to the overall scope of international business. And then the subsequent chapters get into some interesting issues in international business. Globalism is an interesting trend that has sort of taken a reverse turn due to the coronavirus. Maybe the most important of these chapters is the 5th one, when the various approaches to understanding international trade are discussed. And so that takes us then to part B, the international environment. And as you can see, the scope there deals with the various issues that flow out of the international nature of multinational trade, political, government intervention, the nature of emerging markets as opposed to mature markets, and completely undeveloped markets. There are probably 3 categories there: the undeveloped, the emerging, and the developed or mature economies and their markets. Then monetary and financial conditions and the markets for finance, and international monetary and financial systems, how we raise capital, how we invoice customers and get paid. Then a couple of chapters that are not to my satisfaction, because my specialty as both an academician and a practicing manager You will see my my bio or my CV in the other parts of the Moodle shell. But I've been vice president of corporate planning and development at Phillips Industries. I was also the first corporate planning director at Holiday Inn and a managing partner of a consulting firm that helped companies around the world do strategic planning. And so my specialty is strategic planning, and I've practiced it multinationally. So the university has asked me to teach both this course in international business as well as all of our courses on strategy, business policy and strategy. In the graduate program as well as undergraduate. So when I see two little chapters here compared to all those others on international business strategy, and by the way, international business strategy in this textbook is sort of brief. It's mixed in with organization structures that are required to implement different approaches to strategy. And then a second chapter on how to identify opportunities in the multinational marketplace. It just seems to me as though there could be more here, but I'm sure that what you would not want me to do is add more chapters to a 17 chapter textbook. So we'll deal with those as they are. Anyway, the final section of the textbook deals with implementing strategy, exporting, foreign direct investment, collaboration, which these days is very important, licensing, franchising, and so forth. Looks like I've got a typo there. It's not accounting 7 financial management, it's accounting and financial management, right? That's on the 7 key of my keyboard, and now you know that I'm not a perfect typist. And finally, international marketing, which is extremely important, and international human resource management, which is also very important. So the good part about this large textbook is that it covers just about every issue of international business. And so although this is going to be an intensive course for you because we have such a short time to do it, only 7 weeks, it means that you're going to have to do a lot of reading and a lot of work to get everything done. But by the same token, when you do get everything done, you will be pretty well informed about international business. And if you find yourself in a corporation that has international business, which more and more corporations do, you should be prepared to jump right in. And of course, that's what we want. We want you to be ready to contribute to a corporation and thereby to advance in that corporation and make more money. Okay, so this is the textbook. As I said, you should have received it already. In this course, there will be a quiz for every chapter, so that's 17 quizzes right there, which is a bunch, but they're just based on what's in the chapter. And so it's they're mainly true, false, and multiple choice. Although there are 17 of them, then they won't be the worst part of your life. Pretty basic stuff. There will be 3 tests throughout these 17 chapters, which are meant to cover about 5 or 6 chapters per test. There's some other little material that comes along in the course. I'll get to that in just a minute. But the tests are based pretty much on the chapters. So basically the way to study for the tests is to review the answers that you did not get right on the quizzes, and you should be ready. There's something else that we're going to do. At the end of several chapters, there are, I think they're called closing cases, but they're page and a half, perhaps 2 pages, but they summarize a particular company's situation that characterizes the subject matter of that chapter. And they're very, very useful because they can let us understand how these principles that we're studying in the textbook actually apply to real life situations. And so for, I believe, 5 of them, I'm going to ask you to write a little essay to answer a question at the end of this what I call mini case. So just one question, and the purpose of this exercise is just to bring it fresh in your mind and give you a chance to actually consider how the principles in the chapter apply to real life situations. Now, there's something else that I'm going to ask you to do. And please appreciate why we do a term project. In the traditional course, members of the class divide into teams, and they work together after class on campus. They meet and they do the work together, and they present their cases together as teams at the end of a 16-week course. And of course, that's a lot longer than we have. But if that weren't, so we can't do that kind of a project in this course. And to make matters worse, the last time I checked, there were 32 of you in this course. Now, the numbers vary, so it may be a larger class today or a smaller one if people have dropped out, but give or take, 32 people. And so if we want to divide up into teams of 4 people, we'd have 8 teams, which would be kind of hard to get every team's work presented. So long story short, we're not going to do that. On the other hand, a requirement for a course like this is to get you to get your hands dirty, to get involved in looking at how these principles of international business apply to a company. So I've put together an outline of how a report on a company should be done. As time goes on, I will provide you with some information to do a project, but you by yourself will be obliged to prepare a report on a company of your choosing from a list. And I'll show you that list pretty quickly. So the term project, in the term project, it'll go in a sequence sort of like this. First of all, you need to select a corporation from a list of 10 that I believe I'll show you on the next slide, and then gather information about the company. And the smart way to do that is to use the chapters as we go through them to identify the kind of information that you can collect and assemble it. The smart thing to do, by the way, is to get a 3-ring binder. and divide the tabs in that binder according to the outline that you will be provided, the required outline that you need to follow. So make a 3-ring binder, put tabs in it corresponding to the outline, and then as you develop material during the course, put that material in your binder. And in the last week, you will have the whole, essentially the whole week to prepare your report. And so if you're doing it in bits and pieces as we go through the course, you'll still probably have a little bit of writing and organizing to do in that last week, but there will be time to do that. Because I've given it to you, there's nothing else to do in that week. Incidentally, lots of people are concerned about having, attractive title pages and references and putting parenthetical comments about the author and the year of publication. You don't need any of that on this assignment. Frankly, in business, we don't use APA style, and I certainly don't require it from you. Just organize your report according to the outline. And then when you're done in that last week, there's a portal where you can upload your report. Okay, so here are those 10 optional companies, and they represent a variety of companies in various industries. And all these companies have lots of international business. They're all publicly owned, so you can go get their annual report, Form 10K, Form 10Q, various public releases that the company makes to announce developments, as well as articles in business magazines about these companies. Each one of these companies is characterized by abundant information about it. So choose the company you want, and by the middle of the first week in this course, send me an email. Let me know which company you chose. If you don't do that, you'll get a 0 on that assignment because you will not have returned to me the company that you've chosen within the time required. You do have to stay on schedule in this course. Okay, so each of those companies is publicly owned. And that means you can buy or sell shares of stock in the company. And when companies issue stock to the public, they are required by law to put a lot of information to the public so that investors can be adequately informed. And you can go to the company's website and get it, and you can also get in contact with the company directly and ask for these materials. Very often there's a tab on the company's web page or home page, sometimes called Contact Us or Investor Relations. And when you open it up, you have information that can be used to request this information. Now, to be honest with you, companies are getting less cooperative in providing this information because it's costly to do so. And of course, we have the internet. But if you can get the documents, frankly, I recommend it because flipping through annual reports and Form 10Ks and even proxy statements on the computer screen can get to be sort of awkward, and it's hard to take notes on the screen and keep them there if you're using online material. And I don't know about you, but I like to identify the pages in a document that I'm going to be referring to and somehow put a little post-it note on it or crease the page and write some notes on that page. And there's no way I can do that sort of stuff if I'm using it online. So if I am using it online, then regrettably I may have to print off some of the pages that I want to use over and over again, and that can get to be costly and messy. But it may be what you have to do. You can see. Excuse me, I took a cup of coffee, and I think that a drink of coffee, and I think it ended up in my lungs. Anyway, the magazines or journals at the bottom of this slide are all excellent. If you can find an article on your company in those publications, the information you get will be reliable and readable. This is an outline for that term project, and it's a little difficult to read. On your Moodle shell, there's a file called term project, and it not only has this page, but it has each one of these Roman numeral topics spelled out in more detail and in larger print. So you can, and I believe we've got a separate copy of this outline elsewhere in the Moodle shell, but I've put it in, I think, 3 different places just so you're sure to find it and have it available. So, now you can see the percentage signs, 15, 25, 25, 20, and 15. These are approximations. Each company has information in greater or less quantity. This is, these percentages are estimates of the approximate portion of your report that will be taken up by this information, but it's not, these are not grading criteria. Chances are, because the proportion of material that you put in your report will be in about these proportions, then, you know, there's probably some relevance to grade here as well. But different industries and different companies will have more or less of these categories of information, and those categories will be more or less important. And it's pretty much up to you to make that decision about importance based upon what you find and the conclusions that you draw. Another important point, please listen to what I'm saying. You don't have to get every point on this outline to get a really good grade. This is like a menu. You choose from the menu what it is that you can digest. Now, in some cases, such as Roman numeral 2, the environmental trends of what's going on outside the company, most of that stuff is available. On the other hand, when we get down to Roman numeral 3, methods of multinational operation, some companies will tell you about their operations and their operating methods because they're proud of it and they want you to know. In other cases, you won't get much information. Very often, for instance, there's not a lot of information about corporate administrative services. So if there's no information about it, you can't very well report about it, can you? So don't be concerned. If you don't find information about a particular item, don't hesitate to send me an email and I'll give you feedback right away to determine whether you should keep looking or not. So as we work our way through the course, we'll talk about this term project and what's in it. But remember that the smart move is at each stage of and each week, as we go through chapters, try to see if there's something about about the topics in those chapters that you can retrieve regarding the company that you choose. But once again, just let me repeat, perfection is not required for success in this course. This is the outline, the broad outline of topics that you should cover. Do the best that you can. If you feel that you're having difficulty in some part, don't hesitate to get in touch with me, and I will do what I can to help you. Incidentally, Roman numeral 1C, the financial trends, when you tell me the company that you choose, I will send you a little financial summary for that company that will give you the longer trend than 5 years of financial results, including everything on this list. So if you're one of those people who doesn't feel real comfortable with financial concepts, don't be alarmed because I'm going to help you out there. Okay, here's how your grade will be calculated. Those 17 quizzes will be worth 20% of your grade. There will be 3 tests as we move through the course, and 15% each, 45 in total. The little mini cases that I mentioned about cases at the end of each chapter will be worth 20% of your grade, and that report that I've asked you to prepare will be worth 15%. So on your Moodle shell, if you haven't already looked, there's a syllabus for the course, and that syllabus may have some minor differences between what I just told you regarding what you need to do in this course, because what I've just told you has adopted or adapted the course contents and what we're going to be doing in the course to respond to the fact that this is just an 8-week course, number one. And 2, it's a great big class. There are so many of you that, by way of example, we can't form teams. And the syllabus may say that we do. And so what I've told you here it takes precedence. If I've told you something here that is different from the syllabus, please take my word for it in this briefing. You'll find a little background on a description of my background, schedule, the project outline. It's in the syllabus as well as other places. And there may be some videos of the chapters that I record, just like this one, if I think that there are concepts in the chapter that a video would help you with. And there are always PowerPoint slides for each chapter. So you can use those PowerPoint slides just to check and make sure that you've picked up each one of the points when you read the chapter. That's a good way to prepare for the quiz. And then as we go through the course, I'll probably provide you with some supplemental materials. For instance, I may provide you with some information about the impact of the coronavirus pandemic on international trade. In our traditional course for 16 weeks, we have spent some significant time on that. But once again, we've got a problem of trying to get all this into 8 weeks. And regrettably, I wish I could offer you more, but there are some things I just can't offer you in this course that I wish I could offer you. So the Moodle shell is where you will find the tests. and the portals to upload the material for those mini cases and your final exam in the last week. So that's it for this little summary. But I hope that it's at least given you an idea of what's in the course and where some of the challenges are going to be, for instance, in preparing that term project. I, I do feel obliged to help you when I'm able to do so. Sometimes I may not be able to do so because of conflicting obligations. But whenever I can, I'll be glad to lend a hand in any way I can. So I hope you enjoy the course. More importantly, I hope you gather information about international commerce, international business that will make it more likely for you to have a successful career if and when you join a corporation that has international business or is impacted by international markets because it buys products and services from firms outside the United States. What I can tell you is that even though the coronavirus pandemic has caused us to move our supply chains closer to home and to rethink how much we should be depending upon suppliers in countries such as China. The fact is that we're going to continue to depend on foreign suppliers and foreign customers. And if anything, over time, the relationship between domestic companies and international companies will grow larger. And partly that's because other nations' economies are growing fast as they emerge and develop. The US is already a developed country and it's mature, so it can't grow as fast as it could earlier. But these companies that are just coming along can grow faster. And so they present opportunities for businesses to do business that sometimes are greater than those in the US. For your information, China's economy today, when we measure it properly using something called purchasing power parity, is larger than the US economy, and it has been for about 4 years now. And the gap is widening. China's economy is larger than the US. There's going to come a day, not real soon, when India's economy is as large as China's. That means there will be two of those countries who have economies larger than the US. So in the future, if companies and managers like you want to have a good career, they're going to have to plan on doing business across borders. This course will help you get ready for those challenges. And all I can do is tell you that those changes are occurring as we speak. They're definitely going to happen. You need to be ready. I'm going to try to help you. And with that, we'll end this diatribe. And I hope you enjoy the course and do well in it. With that, I will say goodbye. Goodbye.